Good afternoon, YouTube, and welcome back once again to Fat Cat Collections. Got another Nubeo watch for you guys today. And for you NASA buffs, I definitely encourage you to check out Nubeo. So Nubeo makes watches in two different categories, space-themed and ocean-themed. And this is one of their space-themed watches, specifically one of their NASA edition variations. And when I saw the color combination on this, I just had to request it. Check that out. So you have this kind of, again, obviously a white strap and this blood red case. There's something about this red that Nubeo makes. It just gets a little bit different than the competition. Now, Invicta does make a few of the red variations, and we see more and more companies like Michael Kors and many other kind of designer brands coming out with this blood red color. But Nubeo, I think, does it the best. I absolutely love that it's like a subdued red. It's not over the top, super like Ferrari or like exotic sports car style. It's very subdued, and there's something kind of dark about it, right? It gives you the opportunity to wear some red without actually being too over the top, right? If that makes any sense. So this is their NASA variation of the Magellan. And they make many different Magellan watches with different faces, different color combinations, and different movements. And you guys will be happy to know that I know the movement in this watch. So Nubeo sent me a spreadsheet with some of their watches, and they're going to be sharing more and more information. I just have to kind of keep harping on them to request it. But this one here, I'm going to jump right into the check boxes because that's a big deal for a lot of watch collectors. Now, if you're a guy who discovered this video or was recommended this video, and you're a guy who has a watch or two, it isn't really a collector, then you probably aren't going to be buying a ton of Nubeo watches, right? Or Invicta watches at any brand. Some people buy one watch, they have a few, and they're good to go. Other people really want their Grail watch. They're like, I've always wanted a Rolex. Let's face it, I feel like if you've always wanted a Rolex, it's kind of like more of, not necessarily about the watch, more of like an achievement, you know. Give you that little oomph, that little bragging rights that you've achieved one, right? Or you've charged one or spent enough money to get one, right? So, you know, for me, that doesn't do it for me. I really like the ability to collect watches and kind of when I pick them up, remember kind of, you know, how I got it, what company I worked with, or when I got it as either a gift or spent my own money on it. Just depends. But more importantly than anything, I just really like to wear them. I really like to wear the watches and be able to really just decide, you know, what am I going to wear today? What shirt am I going to wear with it? It's just a lot of fun to accessorize. And, you know, again, I don't mean it to sound like I spend hours getting ready. You know, it's one of those things that it's an easy reach. You know, I have a bunch of watches, and if I'm wearing a blue shirt, I might go with a blue watch. You know, it just really depends on my mood. The cool thing about affordable watches like this, and I encourage you to strike when the iron's hot, Nubeo does do kind of what Invicta does, their pricing. They put these really huge MSRPs, and then the watches are on sale. Nubeo does a little differently. Nubeo mainly has their watches like this one, this Magellan variation, is $1,000. And you either pay $1,000 or you get it when it's on an insane deal. And right now it's on an insane deal. Do I agree with that philosophy of marketing? Absolutely not. I prefer them just kind of do what they do with their Spinnaker line, you know, and Nubeo is owned by Dartmouth, and Dartmouth owns Spinnaker and many other watch brands, and I like when companies just kind of pick a price that's reasonable for a watch. For this, you know, say $500, I'm just picking that number out of the sky, $500, I think for most affordable watches is reasonable. I think a lot of people, for what you're getting, I think $500 for any watch out there, unless it's made of precious materials, is the max it should cost, in all honesty. But, you know, okay, so they're putting $1,000, but then they have sales all the time. I prefer them just put the watch on for $500 and then sell it for like $3 to like $4, you know, when it's on sale. But get this, today, $229. I mean, it's an incredible price for what you're getting. Now, as far as the check boxes are concerned, it's not going to check all the boxes. For you folks who, you know, maybe you have 50, 60 watches in your collection, and or maybe even not that many. Maybe you're just a guy who really needs to have the specs. There are people out there who make a big deal about everything. They nitpick everything to death. And I really think when you're shopping watches for specs, you are nitpicking. You know, when you think about things like, well, what kind of lume does it have? Well, like, how often do you really use the lume? We have light. Like, we're not living in the Stone Age here. Like, well, you can see the time, you know? You have a phone. You have a light on your phone. So, to me, it's really kind of ridiculous. There are people out there who legitimately are kind of traditionalists, and maybe they use their watch diving, right? And they need the watch to function as a tool, but let's face it, most people diving are using dive computers nowadays. So, you know, but I'm sure there are traditionalists, and I understand that that's fine if it's important to you, but don't think that if a watch doesn't have all these check boxes, that it's somehow inferior or garbage, right? It just doesn't really matter. And it ultimately, you know, it's your money, and I always say buy what makes you happy, but don't have that mindset that, like, if you're like, well, I really like Lume, it's just something I like. Be real with the fact that you probably rarely use that, you know. And if you do use it and you look down at your watch and you see it glowing better than another one, Lume doesn't last. Like, it is going to diminish. So I just don't see a real, for me personally, definitely, and honestly for anybody, I don't see the point in worrying about it. But if you do, that's okay. And you know, we're going to talk about the specification. So first off, the biggest spec I think a lot of guys, not mine, but a lot of folks out there are concerned with is what kind of movement does the watch have? What kind of motor does she have? You know, there are guys who are only going to buy automatics. Now, I am with you. I like automatics over quartz, but let's face it, quartz are more accurate. So, you know, if like my dad, he prefers a quartz because he doesn't have to worry about the time having to reset it and do all that stuff, right? Some folks are like that. There's nothing wrong with that, but this is an automatic movement, and it's a Seiko Seiko series, Seiko created, if I'm using the right terminology. We all say Seiko, but it's the NH series movement. It's the NH39. So that's the same movement as in a lot of Seiko watches, but it's just a different model number on their Seiko. It's the same movement to the best of my knowledge. So anytime you're getting an NH series movement, it's a checkbox. Really, there's nobody on earth, I think, that can argue that anything NH series is not a very reliable, very robust movement. It's referred to, and I hate using the YouTube terminology in the watch community, the workhorse. You know, the Seagulls are workhorses, the Miyotas, same thing. It's just a term that people use to sound like they know what the fuck they're talking about. And to be honest with you, they're all good. They all work, and you could have good or bad luck with anything. But if it is a checkbox for you, it has the NH39. Crystal on it is a curved mineral glass crystal. It is not sapphire. Is it a big deal? I don't think so. I've never scratched any of them. And remember, people, I feel like the watch community is a bunch of little salesmen. Every watch snob out there, and guys who don't really know what they're talking about, are going to tell you, oh, if it's not sapphire, it's garbage. That's not the case. I've yet to scratch a mineral crystal. I mean, it's not like, they compare the difference between the two of taking, like, comparing sapphire and scratch testing it against like a really inexpensive plastic screen on like a 1980 cell phone. Like, if there was that kind of difference, I could absolutely see going with sapphire, but it's just not the case. You can take something and try to scratch this. It's probably not going to happen. You know, there's plenty of videos out there where guys have actually tested this with a scratch test kit. I forget what it's called, but you know, they tested Flame Fusion and Mineral and K1, and there's not a lot of difference. There is a difference, but are you purposely trying to scratch your watch? I feel like that's the only reason, if you're purposely trying to scratch your watch, on why you should get sapphire. But, you know, let's face it, even if it was sapphire, you're going to scratch the case way before you scratch the crystal. So, not really a checkbox that's ever important to me. My number one checkbox is, one, do I like the way the watch looks? And number two is, what is it made out of? This is 316 stainless steel. If you're getting those, if you check those two boxes off, I think you're going to be happy. Whether it's a Seagull or an NH series or Miyota, you know, they're all pretty decent. You can have good and bad luck with anything. But I understand the reliability aspect of saying, oh, well, you know, Seiko's been around forever. Fine, I get it. I'll give you that one. Next to that, the other specifications, we have a strap on this. You know, whether you like leather or bracelet like I do, or silicone, you know, it's all really personal preference. I will state the only downside to rubber straps like this, and I think specifically this is a rubber material. They just say rubber. So it's not silicone, it's just rubber. You know, time will tell on how long these last. You know, rubber does break down. I wish they made the Magellan on bracelet. I'll always, if I'm spending my money on something, very rarely will I buy silicone or any kind of material other than bracelet. I just like the way steel looks. I hope Nubeo starts doing these on bracelet, or at least starts making some bracelets that people can buy and add to their watches. This lug width is a standard, I believe it's 24 or 26 on this. Let me see if they mention it in their spreadsheet here. They may not. And it doesn't look like they do, but it might be mentioned on their website. All right, so others, yeah, so it is. So it is a rubber strap again, and it's 26 millimeters. So not the easiest, you know, when you're looking at 20 and 22 millimeter, very easy to find straps and bracelets and all kinds of stuff for watches. But 26 can be a little bit harder, but they're readily available. You can still find them. It's not like you're looking at like the Invictas or like 30 millimeter, then you gotta get something custom. You can find them. Mineral lens, anti-reflective coating. They say Japanese quartz automatic, but we know now based on the spreadsheet Nubeo shared with me is an NH39. 48 millimeter case diameter, 15 millimeters in case thickness. You have that really nice domed, kind of tonneau style case. Get the NASA branding on the back. I believe that, I'm not sure about the legalities with the branding. This is one of the first, when I first reviewed the NASA variations of their watches, they didn't actually say NASA. I'm not sure if you can copyright, if it is copyrighted, but whatever Nubeo had to do to make this happen, they did. I'm going to throw a picture of the box up here because I actually had it put away, so I'm not going to show you guys. It's your standard cardboard Magellan box. You get the NASA patch, instruction manual, looks like 3 different straps. You get the blood red, you get the white, which is arguably my favorite, and of course it looks like a canvas NASA strap. Pretty cool. And again, for you NASA folks, for you space buffs who love anything space related, this is just a no-brainer for you to add this to your collection. And here's the thing, you know, 5 ATMs of water resistance. So here's the thing, when you have pricing at $1,000, it becomes harder to rationalize adding a watch to your collection. A lot of times people are going to say, you know, $1,000, you expect those check boxes, whether they use them or not. They want better lume. They want that reputable brand name movement, which this does have, but they might be leaning towards a Sleet or something a little bit higher end on paper, right? To me, they all tell time and they all work. So whatever version you decide to go with, I think at the $229 price point, this is pretty hard to beat. You know, other than this, you're going to have to lean into brands like Invicta and of course Aragon. You can get great deals, but this is just, the quality of these watches is absolutely fantastic, and they're just a lot of fun. And for $229, you can afford to add many to your collection. That's about it, folks. I want to go ahead and show it on the wrist now. I'm about 5'8", I weigh about 175 pounds as of today, and I have a 7-inch wrist. So on my wrist, I'm at the number 4 hole from the smallest on the strap. You know, if you're a big boy, you still have, what do you got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different adjustments. I'd probably say you can get this down to a 6-inch wrist. For you smaller wrist guys, you know, definitely gonna be able to wear it, and it looks fantastic. I mean, just a fun watch. I always consider anything with white very summery, like most folks do. Again, you can wear this whenever you want, for whatever occasion you want. I think this is a very adaptable watch. You know, 48 is not over the top big, but it has a great wrist presence, and I've been trying to kind of push this brand and let folks know that if you are, you know, into the Richard Mille style watches, this definitely is going to fit the bill for you. You know, if you look at the $229 price point, in order to get anything like that, like this watch, you're going to have to go on AliExpress. And there are other brands out there, I forget the names, but they're closer to $300. And again, I can't confirm the quality, but I can tell you, you know, again, with this, you're getting a great looking watch. You have that open heart, you have that blood red dial. And if this isn't your color combination, again, you can get this in several different colors, whether you go with the NASA version or you go with the, you know, the quartz version. There's a ton. I think this is one of the watches that Nubeo makes that has the most color variation. So for this price point, I hope by the time you guys watch this video, it's still on sale. Do try to use FATCAT15 coupon code and save 15%, but I don't know with a sale this aggressive if they'll actually allow you to use it. But by all means, give it a try. What else? That's about it. I'm just going to read you what they state about this particular watch. This NASA edition of the Magellan is a unique limited edition tribute to the STS-30 mission, which launched Magellan to what would be regarded as one of NASA's most successful deep space explorations, combining combing across the atmosphere of Venus. The Magellan spacecraft returned with 1,200 gigabits of data, far exceeding the 900 gigs of data from the NASA planetary missions combined at time. So a little bit of spiel about where the inspiration comes from with this watch. This is one of these watches, when I look at it, I'd say that the space theme on this is, it's very loose. And some of the watches I think Nubeo makes are space themed. and or ocean or space, whatever version you're looking at. I think they knock it out of the park sometimes with the inspiration. I kind of like to compare this to American Shoppers. When Junior would, and I'm saying this because I've been watching all of them again. I love that show. It's just a fantastic show. But one thing I like about Junior is he really tries to add, you know, when he's collaborating with a company, he really tries to bring the branding. He tries to bring the inspiration for, you know, the theme of that company or that product into the bike. And so with this, I think it's very loosely done. Other than saying NASA on it and having the STS, I don't know, some kind of, I don't know if this is a satellite or some kind of spacecraft on the back and kind of a stick figure on the exhibition window. You know, it's a very loose comparison or a loose interpretation or variation of the Magellan. You know, when you look at this, I wouldn't necessarily know what this is, what the theme is. You know, even on the face, there's nothing on this that really states, hey, I get it. You know, like for instance, Nubeo makes their moon watch, which is the whole face of the watch looks like craters of the moon. So I can see the inspiration. But with this, I'm just not seeing it. This is kind of like what I compare, kind of how, it doesn't mean it's, you know, bad or anything like that. I'm just saying, like when you compare the Omega Swatch collaboration, right? The Moon's watch. The only thing tying that to those planets is the color. So it's just kind of a theme for the category of watches. It's not a, I would like to have seen something that pushes this more towards the STS-30. I'm not sure how you do that. I have to kind of think about it. But still, nonetheless, it's a great looking watch and it's an awesome color variation. But this might as well be, if it didn't say NASA on it, it would just be your standard Magellan. So, but still very cool, great looking watch, great looking piece, and I encourage you to check it out, especially at that price point. As always, I want to thank Nubeo for their generosity. And if you guys have any questions whatsoever, any other data I'm missing or specs, hit me up. I got the spreadsheet. I'll share it with you guys. I am going to start to upload this spreadsheet and put it in the description of the videos that have the watcher listed here. But this one does. I'll probably add it to this this description, a little more of the information listed. So, but if there's anything that you guys need to know about this watch before you buy, by all means, let me know. I am always here to help you guys out. Yeah, awesome looking. So thanks for watching, guys. Have a great day and take care.